And welcome to the Thursday, February 15th, 2024 Trotwood-Madison regular meeting. Can Ms. Janice, would you please call a roll?
Yes. Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Curran.
Present.
Mrs. Simmons.
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry.
Yes. Can we now stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Next on our agenda, we will have the mission statement read by Honorable Mr. Sidney Davis.
Thank you, Madam President. The mission of Trotwood-Madison Schools is to graduate all students prepared to excel in a global society with a commitment to lifelong learning by guaranteeing a challenging curriculum facilitated by innovative and dedicated staff, community participation, and state-of-the-art resources in a simulated atmosphere. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in a public for purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. I digress.
Thank you. Item number E is to adopt the agenda as presented.
I make
Are
a
there
motion.
Are there any changes?
Sorry.
Yes, we'd like to remove agenda item 6C, 6B for tabling until the return of Dr. Cosby. Item 6B. Remove for tabling.
6B.
6B, B as in boy, under superintendent's report.
I need a motion to adopt the agenda with the removing of item 6B.
I'll make the motion to adopt the agenda with item 6B until Dr. Crosby is present.
I second that as stated.
Are there any questions? Okay, Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Mrs. Simmons.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Currington.
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry.
Yes, motion passes. And we will adopt the agenda as present with removing item 6B. Next is our community comments. Do we have any, Mrs. Allen? Okay. Moving right along to item number 3, board report. A is the approval of board training compensation. Ms. Allen.
Yes. So after I got verification of all board members who attended the Dayton Southwest Board 101 workshop on Saturday, February 3rd, also the same workshop that was held on Sunday, February 4th, and then there was a board member institute by the ESC on February 10th. The total dollars paid is a total of $750, and that's per policy 0147. Any professional development hours over 3 hours will be paid at $125 per session. So I wanted to walk that in today. I did not have the verification before the board agenda went out, so I would like to walk that in and get a approval for that, for me to pay that compensation.
Okay. I need approval of the board training compensation. I need a motion.
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay. It's been properly moved, motion and approved. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll? Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any questions? Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons.
Yes.
Mrs. Currington.
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry.
Yes. Motion passes for the compensation of board training. Next on the, number 4 is the consent agenda. And I need a motion to approve the consent agenda, meeting minutes for January the 4th, 2024, the organizational meeting, January the 4th, 2024, work session, January 17th, 2024, and the special meeting, January 18th, 2024, and the regular meeting, January 18th, the regular meeting, 2024. I need a motion.
I make a motion to accept the agenda for the January 4th meeting, 2024, the January 4th work session meeting, January 4th, 2024, the January 17th, 2024 special meeting, the January 18th, 2024 special meeting, and the January 18th, 2024 regular meeting.
And because of the consent agenda, please add 4B as well.
And 4B.
I second that as stated.
Ms. Allen, would you please call it out?
Mrs. Covington?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
And Mrs. Chu?
Yes, motion passes for the consent agenda for the meetings that was presented for January 2024. Next is to accept the donation from the Gated Properties Global.
Because we have the consent agenda, that was for a gated.
Oh, yes, it was. I'm sorry. It is on here. I'm sorry. So next, I do apologize. So next is item number 5, which is the treasurer's report.
Okay, this evening I have 3 items that I would like for you all to approve. We did have a finance committee meeting this evening with Mr. Davis and Mrs. Simmons. We did go over about 20 different reports. Those reports you can look at under your executive tab on board docs at your leisure. But the 3 reports that we will, I ask for you to approve are, the first one is the cash reconciliation for the month of January. We have bank statement balances of $1,127,569.69. Our investment balances total $28,262,649.85. We had outstanding checks and we had adjustments. With the total outstanding checks and adjustments, the adjusted bank balance is $27,281,579.03. And that does match exactly to the financials on this financial meta system. The second report is our spending plan for the month of January as well. That comes directly off of the meta financial system. It shows your monthly actuals and also it shows your fiscal year-to-date actuals. I always call your attention to line 6.01 that indicates our excess revenue. And for the month of January, we did spend $766,419 more than we received. However, for fiscal year-to-date, we have a positive $131,387.59 of revenue more than we did our expenses. And so it also indicates your cash balance at this time through January. So that is your spending plan through January. And then the last report are checks over $1,000 for the month of January. There was one question during the finance committee meeting, and that question was for check 1103-034 to the Children's Defense Fund in the amount of $8,550. What that was is for Freedom School Summer Programming. That is the first installment, which was due February 9th, 2024, in the amount of $8,550. And then the second installment will be due on March the 8th in the same amount. So that was the only question that we had during the finance
So we have heard the financial report from Mrs. Allen, and I need approval of the January financial report. I need a motion to approve them.
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been properly moved. Are there any questions? All right, Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes. Motion passes for the January financial reports.
The second item under 5B is the approval of the amended appropriation resolution for FY 2024. There is only one change from the January 18th that I brought back from the appropriation, and that is an additional $77,589.80, and that now will be under Fund 599, Special Cost Center 9024. That is for the ovens that we received a grant for. And so, February 15th, the total amount of appropriations is $58,613,238.74. And that was the only amendment from January 18th. And I ask your approval at this time for that.
Okay. So we have heard the amended appropriation resolution for FY 2024. I need a motion to approve the amended appropriation resolution.
I motion to approve the amended appropriation.
I second.
Are there any questions? Okay. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes. Motion passes. Next is our superintendent's report.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
I will be presenting Dr. Cosby's information with regards to her superintendent's report. I believe these two items I will be presenting are for action. First is Superintendent's Item 6A, approval of the Robotics Club out-of-state field trip to Radcliffe, Kentucky. The description is in the attachment. I am requesting from Mrs. Murdoch. I'm requesting approval of Trotwood-Madison High School Robotics Club to travel to Radcliffe, Kentucky on March 9th, 2024. The trip will be supervised by Sergeant Samuel Brown and will be paid for through JROTC funding. Students will travel by school bus. Students will complete an aerial drone competition, and upon return, they will conduct an after-action review to discuss strengths and weaknesses. That's for Ms. Murdoch. I am asking for action for that field trip this evening.
So we have heard the report for the Robotics Club for the out-of-state field trip, March 9th. Okay. Are there any questions? Okay. I do have one. So is it just March 9th or is it the weekend?
This is just for March 9th.
Just for March 9th.
One day, yeah.
So I need a motion to approve the Robotics Club out-of-state field trip in Radcliffe, Kentucky for March 9th, 2024.
I'll make the motion to approve the Robotics Club out-of-state field trip to Radcliffe, Kentucky.
I second that.
Okay. It's been properly moved in second. Are there any questions? All right, Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mrs. Currington?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cherry?
Yes. All right. Approved and motion passes.
Thank you. Superintendent's item per amended item 6C, not B, 6C, approval of the personnel agenda for 2015 for this evening. Personnel agenda is attached. As we review the personnel agenda, A1, approval of certified retirement. A2, recommendation for approval of the following certified home instructor. A 3, recommended for the approval of the following certified athletic supplemental for the 23-24 school year. A 4, recommendation for the approval of the certified staff to be used on an as-needed basis. Substitute teacher. A 5, recommendation for the approval of the following certified after-school tutors for the 23-24 school year. A 6, recommendation for the approval of the following certified limited contract and date correction for the 23-24 school year. B1, classified agenda, recommendation for the approval of the following classified resignation, custodial. B2, recommendation for the approval of the following classified retirement. B3, recommendation for the approval of the following classified supplemental adjustment for the 23-24 school year. And C1, administrative personnel, recommendation for the following administrative salary adjustment. And C2, recommendation for the approval of the following 2-year administrative contract for the 23-24 school year at a prorated rate of 110 days. I am asking for action on those this evening.
Well, I do have a question. So we have heard of the personnel agenda. I need a motion to approve the personnel agenda. Are there any questions?
I motion to approve A through B, C1 and C2.
Second.
It has been properly moved. The motion to approve the personnel agenda. Ms. Allen, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Carrington,
Yes.
Mrs. Simmons,
Yes.
and Mrs. Cherry.
Yes, the motion has passed to approve the personnel agenda. Item 7 is our discussion and follow-up items and update. A is the number of position paid for grant dollars.
So,
Yes.
so in front of you, you have a black folder,
Mhm.
and last meeting, you guys asked us to pull together the information, so the information is in here. So the first one is the grant-funded staffing position. And so the name of the grant, Title I or Title IV, ideas, special education, early child education, special education, early child education, and then ARP, American Rescue Plan, ESSER, that's the ESSER dollar. You can see maintaining a traditional school environment. We have 5 kids that we identified at Eastway provide services for. And the last one is youth therapy, and that youth therapy supports tier 2 and 3 students. And presently, we don't have any students that are being serviced by youth therapy. And then the last report that I put in the folder was the number of retirements that we know of today. And I actually gave you the email from HR, and at this point, there's 6 individuals that have indicated that they will be retiring as of June 30th, 2024. I put in also, I think, Dr. Cosby sent you all this, anyway, I just put it back in there, the organizational chart. You asked about that. And then I added, there was discussion about just a levy passages. So I just wanted you all on this gold piece of paper to see our passage history for Trotwood District. And just information, FYI, actually, put up on the gold piece of paper. So just, this is the information that you asked about in the book. And since Dr. Cosby disappeared, that she could, if there were any other really deep down questions, I'm sure she would be more than happy to answer.
Thank you for gathering this information for the board's request, Mrs. Allen. I do have a question. How do we determine if all services were used? Will they submit us a form
Yes.
with that information on there?
Yes, they'll submit a form of actual
Okay.
versus what we estimate. So that at the end of the year, they'll do that, and then that's when they will either send us a bill or they'll send us a bill. So they will actually tell us exactly the services that were provided.
Okay. Thank you so very much for that information. Next up, item number 8 is the treasurer's comments.
Yes, before you, I placed a hard copy of my treasurer's update. I also put it in board docs under executive tab. I just want to call your attention to a couple good things that have been happening in our area. The treasurer's office was responsible for coordinating biometric screening, which I thought was outstanding. I participated. We had 126 employees, which is amazing. Take advantage of that. So what it was, they actually prick your finger and they look at your HDL and LDL and your BMI, and then depending on what those numbers indicated, we're going to start having next week coaches. So coaches to come in from the Y to say, if you need more exercise, if you need to do whatever, to just really coach our employees to a better, healthier lifestyle. And so we're really, really excited about that. So it's going to start February 13th, or it has started through May 14th. Every bi-weekly, the wellness coaches will be coming in. Just FYI, there's 2 projects that we're working on, an invoice project and then a time and attendance project that we have started. And hopefully, particularly with the time and attendance project, the implementation date has been set for sometime in May. So we did have some issues this past May with the time and attendance system, and we really do need to implement that new system as soon as possible. And then the last thing that I talked about earlier about the appropriations is that the United States Department of Agriculture did award the district in January that $77,000 grant, and this will be used to purchase the ovens for Westbrook and the middle school. And so we're really excited about that. And so once we do that, we have to add that appropriation onto the document. So that's what I did today. And then you can see there's a couple meetings and events that between now and the next time we have our next business meeting, I put in. So this, I just wanted to let you know what our departments.
Any comments?
I wish I had a whole bunch of good stuff to talk about like Mrs. Allen. But the one item I have is really, it's not good from the standpoint of, on the 9th of February, I attended a meeting at the direction of Dr. Cosby with Public Health Dayton Montgomery County with regards to the measles case that was identified in Montgomery County. Some of the initial dialogue that we had and conversation that we had, I kind of had PTSD a little bit because I was in the mindset of, uh-oh, here we go again. You know, being, you know, the intern superintendent at that time, and the whiplash I have anytime I think about some of the things we went through in 2020 with regards to COVID. A lot of the folks on the call all kind of felt the same way initially, but the director of public health did come on, and the first thing he did say is he wanted to let everyone know we are not in the same place with measles, because 90 to 92% of the United States population is vaccinated for measles. But with that being said, there was a lot of information, a lot of very important information about the measles case. At this point, there's only been one case, but the interesting and you know and poignant thing is that measles comes with a 21-day 21-day isolation period. So we're talking about COVID, you know, we're talking about 10 days, and now at this point 5, and then there's even new information coming out there that you know that isolation period will be even less. But if there is an outbreak of measles, or if there is a case of measles, anyone that is not vaccinated will have to quarantine for 21 days. So the challenge and the charge of school districts at this point, per this meeting with public health, is that we, and when I say we, Mrs. Mallory's department, Nurse Calloway, we are challenged to provide, well, not provide, but to update all of our student and staff vaccinations in the event that there is a outbreak. So all students and all staff members will have to provide proof of vaccination if there is one single case. The scary thing about measles, which is a lot different than COVID, is that, you know, measles is a airborne virus that lingers in the air for up to 2 to 4 hours after the virus enters the air, which COVID is, you know, 6 feet. And so anyone in a building that is not vaccinated for measles is considered a close contact, even if you were upstairs and that person was downstairs, because the way the virus is how transmissible the virus is. So with all that being said, the challenge of the school district is to update all of student vaccinations, all staff vaccinations. If there is a case, staff will have to provide vaccination status as well, which is a little concern, because there are some staff members that, you know, we're talking about going back to the, you know, 1 or 2 years old when they were vaccinated. So we're going to be sending some information out to all staff members probably first of next week to let them know that they need to have their vaccination status on hand, and it needs to be present. And then we also have to notify any parent or guardian of any student in the district that if they are not vaccinated for measles, they will be automatically excluded from school if there is a case in the district. So that is something that we have to put out to all of our staff members, because you do have some, all of our parents, because you do have some parents that utilize that option of non-vaccinating, whether it be religious, whether it be political, whether it be choice. So we have to review those files and make sure we let all of those parents know whose students are not vaccinated with this case in the county, that if there happens to be a case in the building that their student attends, if they are not vaccinated, it's an automatic 21-day exclusion from school. So we're going to work, I'm going to work with Ms. Calloway and Ms. Mallory. We're going to work to try to get all that information out and make sure everybody understands, you know, vaccinations status and information is important. And hopefully, that one case is the only one we have in the county, and then we can move on and, you know, be prosperous. All right? That's all I have with that regards.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you say you guys were gonna start, putting the information
So,
out?
so Nurse Calloway and myself, we met yesterday. And once I get with Miss Mallory and she gets with Miss Mallory, she is gonna work on the student aspect. The information to the staff will go out Monday, probably Monday morning, in just a general email. One other point that we found out is that if a staff member is not vaccinated and there is an exposure or a case, they have up to 72 hours from the exposure to get either what they call a teeter test, because there are a lot of people that don't know their vaccination status because it's been so long. So they can get the blood test drawn, and then that blood test will determine whether or not they have been vaccinated, or they can get one dose of the vaccination, and then they can stay in the building. So all of this information has to go out to staff, and we're gonna put together a formal letter Monday. Public Health is supposed to be sending us a summary of all of this information so we can share that with staff. But Monday for staff, and then once Nurse Calloway and Miss Mallory, we had that conversation, they'll working on the student list. And the big thing is identifying who is not vaccinated. That's the big thing.
I was
And-
vaccinated, but I don't know when. I mean,
Yeah, and that's what
I know I was.
that's what everybody on the call was worried about. They're like, I don't know when I was vaccinated, but if you were born before 1960, maybe, if you were born before 1960, you do not have to produce vaccination, because I believe everybody born before 1960 had to be vaccinated because of the big measles outbreak that they had. I'm not sure about that it might be 60, it might be 50, but there's a certain group, anybody before 19, and I'm not gonna put anybody on the spot, you know what I mean? But it's not me. But anybody before 1950 or 1960, they all had to be vaccinated because of the huge outbreak. And they do not have to produce vaccination status, but anybody after, I think it's after 60, anybody after 60, if there is an outbreak, and it won't be the school district, it will be public health. Public health will come in, and they will ask everyone to produce their vaccination status, who was in the building. So we need to put together just a list, and that's what they want us to do, put together some type of document that just has everybody, where we can just produce that and say, these are the people that are vaccinated, these are the people that are not vaccinated.
So public health wouldn't have that information?
They
on record?
would in a sense, but they won't have it all in the realm of Trotwood-Madison city schools. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I'm just
Still
saying.
would have to
If
request
you
it.
were
Yeah.
vaccinated in
Individually.
Ohio,
Right,
You have to request it individually.
right, you'd have to request,
they would
so,
have it.
so if,
You know what I'm saying?
right. So what the director said is that if we come in, if there's a case, and we come in, we want to know immediately who is and who is not vaccinated from the school district, based upon the student records. Now, once they start doing their part, they can easily pull that information to see. But they want us to, versus what we had to do with COVID, we had to do all the contact tracing. We're not doing any of that. We're just telling them who is and who is not vaccinated, and then they'll take it from that point. But the other key part is that if staff is not vaccinated and we have an outbreak, and we got 15 or 20 staff members that cannot produce their vaccination status, and those are 15 or 20 people that are not gonna be in the classroom. So that's why it's important to make sure that everybody gets on that, just to be able to produce that information. All right. All right, that's all I have. That's a lot in there. I told you it wasn't good. Cover your mouths and wash your hands.
Yeah. All right, thank you for the superintendent comments. Next, we have board comments, starting with Honorable Luana Currington.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here. And Mr. Howard, I'm going to say thank you for the informative information. I think it's better that we be prepared for something, and then nothing happens. Madam Treasurer, thank you as always for making sure that we are fiscally fit in the district. And I'm sure Nurse Calloway and Ms. Mallory are the best two people to handle the job ahead of them. So that's all I have.
Okay. Honorable Sidney Davis.
I'd like to talk about our pool. I had an email from one of my favorite gentlemen in the district, and it's about our staff community open swim. Our February 20th, we start. That would be a Tuesday, 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. Communities, or just the public period, Trotwood family, come out. We will continue this Monday through Thursday. A lot of people don't know how to swim. Some people do, but I think with the weather changing, it might be a good time to, bring a lady, bring the kids, or anything like that. And then also, speaking of sports, I would like to digress into sports before I end this. We have a tournament coming up, D2 to be exact. And we will be visiting Oakwood. So, Oakwood, y'all get ready for this. This is going to be an interesting thing, Oakwood. We said we was coming, now we here. I think in the words of Deion Sanders, we here now. So, and then if you don't have tickets, you can go online or download the app at OSHA SSA and get your tickets that way as well. And outside of that, my favorite part of this, what I digress into, is just to give thanks and be humble. Thank you, Assistant Superintendent. I always enjoy any intel or information informatically you can drop on us, or wisdom. Madam President, it's day and night in the last 2 years. We even get out early. The sunlight is even out now when we go home sometimes. Mr. Lumpkin, it's a pleasure to see you as well. And
You sure you moved your seat?
yeah, it's a pleasure to see you from here. And let's see. Ms. LaWanda, thank you for being kind about that. And Vice Chair.
Take some lessons.
Vice Chair, just thank you for being such a kind heart in the last less than 90 days. I've gotten to just get to learn what it's like to work in a team with a new person, and it not be really I don't know you, don't know me, let's just get to it. And then as I digress, one thing that somebody said to Hulk Hogan's wife, and then he carved it on her table. This man named Macho Man Randy Savage said this, and I think I'm gonna address this to the kids. He said, whatever it takes, oh yeah. And that's what I feel. It's like whatever it takes. So that's all I want to just leave us with, that message. Whatever it takes, oh yeah. So I digress. Thank you guys for your time, and that's it.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Davis. And now we have Honorable Aaron Lumpkin for comments. Have any?
I want to apologize for showing up late today. The events that I have scheduled for my job actually were all scheduled before I was elected. So
Yes, sir.
I had one run up to the board meeting. I'll keep my comments brief. I just think that one of the things that the community needs to understand about this particular Board of Education is that we are going to look at items carefully, and we're going to look at them responsibly. And our decisions are going to be based on the kids. It's going to be based on what's best for the kids and what's best for the employees that work for this district. And I think sometimes that can get lost in translation. So one of the promises that myself and Deion made when we ran is that we're going to be liaisons to the community, but we're also going to be responsible stewards of the district's finances when it comes down to those things. So I know there's been some discussion about that, and we're always going to look at things in a careful fashion. That doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen, though. It just means that we're going to look at them in a careful fashion. I just want a big congratulations to, I think today we voted on, before I got here, our robotics team. Did we vote on that? So our robotics team is going to compete in a place that's not that far from another place that I call home, Batesville, Mississippi, not that far from Starkville, Mississippi, where I went to college at Mississippi State University. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they can do in those nationals. And just congratulations to our basketball team on their big win last night at Wayne. Anytime that we can beat the Wayne Warriors in all 3 games, that's an awesome thing, and I want to make sure that we acknowledge that from the Board of Education. So just looking forward to doing the work. That's all.
All right. Thank you. And now, Vice President, Mrs. Simmons.
So earlier today, here in Montgomery County, we now acknowledged the top 10 African-American males, and it was an honor to be there. I think next year will be a good idea if we could send our seniors. It would be a good idea to just have a table, sponsor a table for them to see the accolades and the things that these men bring to the community service that they provide. And I sat there just in awe of the things that they did, and I thought about our students and bringing them to the table, so before we sending them off to college, so they can see what they can aspire to be. So that's kind of my, keeping it short and brief, that's my takeaway for today, and glad to be here.
All right. Well, thank you. That leaves me. I just had a couple of things. First of all, I just thank you, Mr. Howard, for that information about the measles. And I think I'm going to go ahead down to the public health and see about my information and see what's going on, because I have gotten nervous behind that, with the COVID and everything. So I want to make sure that I'm safe, and hopefully that our students and parents and community is safe. I do want to congratulate our boys basketball team. I want to congratulate the robotic team. I'm looking forward to them going down and competing and winning. So I want to say congratulations to them. I wanted to ask the question about, I just wanted to recap about our seniors. A couple meetings ago, I think we had like 60 to 61 students that were on the borderline or kind of like on the fence, and I want to know what are those numbers now, and I want to know what information has been provided to the parents since our last meeting, and hopefully our numbers will come down. I want to just congratulate all of our students who are doing well, who are striving, and I also want to just give a shout out to our faculty, everyone who is putting forth the effort to make sure that our students are successful and our district is successful. And I don't have anything else.
Would you like Dr. Cosby to respond to that information about the seniors?
Yes.
So I'll send her an email, she's aware of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Please and thank
All
you.
right, gotcha.
Yes, you have a question?
Just one more thing. I attended the National Signing Day, was it last week? Last week, and we would just like to congratulate those students on National Signing Day. I believe we had 4, 5
We had
students.
five total
So we would
students.
like to congratulate, and I believe some more is coming up. Our coaching staff here works really, really hard during the season and off season to make their students become, those athletes become students at the collegiate level. So I would like to acknowledge that as well.
Yeah, I was sending her an email.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. So we don't have anything else? Our minds are clear? Then I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I second that as stated.
Okay. Ms. Allen, would you please call the roll?
My pleasure. Mrs. Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Lumpkin,
Yes.
Mrs. Currington.
Yes.
And Mrs. Cheney.
Yes, Motion passes. Meeting adjourned.